Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And during this pretty big break here between Major 2 and the Major 3 qualifiers, lots of pro players have been asking, why did the CDL make this decision? The fans didn't seem to ask for it, the pro players didn't exactly ask for it. Why have we got all these major breaks, and why isn't the season format way better than it is right now? Very much intrigued your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Really up to the channel, thank you very much indeed for doing that one. Firstly, we've got to talk about the post-Major 2 rookie ladder the Crone puts together last night. I voted in this. I'm pretty sure I also put Capstone number 1. These are now the top 3. Cap number 1, Simp number 2, Nasty number 3. Interesting actually, because I think Gizmo had the top spots. I honestly think that I think Cap number 1 is probably a pretty safe bet. He's probably been the most impactful rookie. Boston have had great results as of late as well. At London at the start, I think Gizmo was certainly number 1 for a time. Sib was up there as well. Sib getting back up there was kind of interesting to me because yes, he's been pretty great, but Seattle haven't necessarily had the results to back it up. London to me are still a top 5, top 4, top 3 team in the game, whereas Seattle aren't quite on that level yet. And I do tend to consider team results quite quite significantly here, because it's like, how impactful is this player? It's tough to say if the team's bottom of the barrel, right? Even if they might be a phenomenal rookie. But yeah, to me, Cap's still probably the best rookie in the game right now. Anywhere from like 2 down to 6 is so hard to call in my opinion, because it's so up and down, right? If you consider the season as a whole, this is the order that comes out when you average anything. Jimbo gets number 9, Gravity I believe is number 8. No real surprise there, right? It's Paris. Like, it doesn't matter how good you are, you're probably not going to be too high up the ladder. Then it goes to Nero at number 7, which I feel like I put him at number 6 or something. In terms of stats, he's actually been pretty poor, at least like pure statistically, but I feel like he does have a fair bit of impact on this team. Not quite as much as Capstone there, there's no doubt. Then Dave Petty at number 6, I think that's probably fair enough. He's been making a run as of late, honestly been pretty instrumental to their success over these last few games. Then Prid at number 5, to me, like, I kind of want to have Prid and Sib relatively close, because I feel like they're kind of similar in terms of what they bring and the impact they have to this team, but it's just so tough to separate like 5 down to number 2, because then we have Gizmo at number 4, which I think obviously he was kind of number 1 for a time, but I think as of late he's probably fallen off a little bit, especially at the majors right on LAN. And then Nasty at number 3, probably I think a lot of people say right now Nasty maybe has been more impactful than Gizmo the last few games. I think a lot of pro players actually rate Nasty very highly in terms of what he brings to the roster. Sib at number 2, Capsule at number 1, so I guess we'll see how long this can remain for, but yeah, right now Capsule is on the road to become rookie of the season, no doubt about it. This is also just real quick from Modern Warfare 2 news. Seems like possibly April the 30th might be the first look we get at this new game. More than likely it's just going to look exactly the same. Of course, this is kind of the logo they come up with here, but I doubt it's going to look exactly like that, but probably isn't too dissimilar, to be honest. Like, look, it's probably just going to be copy and paste from 2019. Wouldn't be surprised, given the success of that game and kind of the anti-success of Vanguard, even though it's not really a word. As long as they bring the minimap back to normal, then I guess it can't get too much worse than that game a couple of years ago. I just wanted to mention this as well, because the way the development time is apportioned here doesn't really make any sense. I mean, of course, the Warzone devs are different to the COD devs, and they've been trying their best, the COD devs, to change up the spawns, right, in their kind of respawns, and like, rank play and stuff. They've been testing things out, which should be to the benefit of the league in general. But like, you do have to think, okay, trophy systems aren't in the game. In fairness, I feel like if trophies were in this game, the game might actually play worse, just because it gives you a chance to break into hardpoints. I feel like that was one of the reasons last year why kind of Cold War hardpoint was so dull at times, was because you basically couldn't break because you couldn't throw any nades. Like, the trophy systems were out of control. There were so many of them flying all over the shop that it was actually really frustrating. So for me, it's better without trophies. But like, just the way that there's no trophies and there's stuff like this, it just makes me laugh, to be honest. But I don't play the game anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Here's what Optic have to say yesterday: 30 days till our first match of the Major 3 qualifiers. So it really puts into perspective, it's been a week and a bit now since the Major has concluded, and still it's 30 days until the first game that Optic are going to play. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean there's nothing going on between now and then. There is there was meant to be the All-Star weekend happening last weekend. That didn't happen. That's been postponed towards the end of the year. Then after that, there's meant to be this kind of Warzone Pacific thing going on in, I think, 2 weeks' time or 10 days' time or so. That's happening. Then right after that, we have the Pro-Am Classic, which should be a fantastic tournament. But, still, we have no details on that as of yet at all. We don't even know if it's on LAN. We don't 100% really know what the format's going to be. And still, kind of frustrating. But still, Optic is saying, look, hang on a second here, lads. It's 30 days since we're back in business for Major 3. We want to get back into this quicker. The players took about a week or so off. Then you think, okay, maybe a week or two of scrims or whatever, and then get right back into the games. Like, I understand the idea of a mid-season break. What I don't really understand is that there's a mid-season break now, and then there's effectively another mid-season break after the next major. Doesn't really make any sense, to be honest. The pros haven't been too happy about this in general. Like, even as Optic said a couple of days ago, the break has got us losing our mind in ranked. Of course, nothing from the players themselves on the Optic side, but still, it seems like people are like, okay, hang on a second, why is this delay so drastic when we've seen, for Major 1, Major 2, March was incredibly packed, and I get the idea of having a bit of time off, but surely the idea is usually you have a bit of a break break, maybe before the major, maybe after the major, but still nothing like this seems to be necessary, to be perfectly honest. The pros last year, to my knowledge, were kind of frustrated and complaining about the fact that they didn't really have much time off, which I understand, right? At the end of the day, they're playing, pretty much all weekends. If they're not playing matches, like at, let's say, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, as it was last year, they're warming other teams up for their matches, and then they're going into the Monday, right? Maybe they have Monday off, then straight back into scrims Tuesday, Wednesday. There was pretty much no break for those guys last season, which I get that they want to introduce a few more breaks, but the way they've done it seemingly this year, it doesn't, seem to be the greatest idea. Slasher says it's crazy how just 1 week off can make it feel like I never held a controller before, right? But, Slasher and pretty much all the pros took a week off from scrimming, week off from practice, this type of stuff, and even as Method says, since deleted this mid-season break with the straight-up board emojis. And Octane actually has a few words to say on this on stream a couple of days ago, basically saying, look, not really sure why the CDL have done what they have done, because we said last year we'd like to have more of a break after the majors, like maybe give us a week off, 2 weeks off, whatever, after the majors. Now, between Major 1 and Major 2, they gave us absolutely 0 breaks at all, from Major 1 straight into the Major 2 qualifiers once again, and then they've given us this massive mid-season break that really nobody asked for.
Still a full month away from matches schedule. I don't know why there's such a long, like they added some stuff like to do between the wait, but like I'm just confused. Like, so I know the players asked for waits between the majors and like a decent break. So in response, the CDL gave us no break between Major 1 and 2, and then a month-long break between Major 2 and 3. So I know there's like an all-star event or whatever. That got moved, and there's like a pro-am, I think. I don't even know any details about that. Major 5 in New York. So Major 3 is Major 3 Toronto? I actually don't.
The enemy is taking
Now that I'm thinking about it.
So I think there's a few ways in which this year's format is better than last year's, but you also do have to wonder, why is there so many significant breaks throughout the course of the year? Like, okay, the Major 1 started here, Major 1 through to Major 2 was packed. I thought the kind of scheduling there was pretty good, apart from the fact that there was a week off before the major tournaments. Some people have said, okay, maybe there should be a week off before the major, and then a week off after the major, and then just continue that thread for the entire season, because I don't really understand. There's the mid-season break right now, even though one of these things has now been moved. We're waiting for the Pro-Am Classic, and then as soon as that ends, we're straight back into the online qualifiers once again, and then into the major tournaments. The thing that kind of confuses me again is like, okay, if you are going to have a mid-season, you've got to do something with the mid-season, which they were going to do, and now isn't really happening all that much. We still have no details on the Pro-Am, and the players themselves seem to think, okay, why do we need all this time off? This year we only have 4 majors, last year we had 5 majors, and so we managed to cut down on the number of majors. Yes, there's the Pro-Am events, but there's also managed to, there's less COD to play somehow. And the pros, I think, generally just want to get back into business. So then, okay, if you are going to do a mid-season break, like a month off, whatever, like maybe you thought the players wanted that, and maybe some of them did ask for that, but it seems like just looking at some of the reactions, most players just ask for some breaks after the majors and stuff, so maybe they have a few days off to recover, whereas, now it's like we have a massive break, and then sometimes there's no breaks at all between some of the other things. Bit strange. But then if we look at this, for example, the Ultra LAN tournament in June, that ends June the 5th, we have another, 3 weeks off before Major 4? Like, why does that need to be the case? I guess they just want to delay as much as possible so that champs in mid-August makes sense, but like, I don't really understand. We have a month off now, and then we have another 3 weeks off after the Major 3. Like, that should be enough time to fit an entire another major cycle if you wanted to. Like, if they wanted to, they could have formatted the season better, in theory, to fit an entire new major in here. Like, maybe in addition to the Pro-Am as well, or maybe have the Pro-Am after the season ends. I don't know. Like, look, it's a work in progress. It's so much better than what we had year 1 with the home series. They were tragic. Obviously, there's LANs this year, which is great as well compared to last year. Most of it was online. The Pro-Am is good. I think it's better in general, but there's still much more that could be done here, I think, in future years. Just adding more stuff, to be perfectly honest, like to keep the players interested, but also to keep the fans interested, because you don't want to lose the momentum from such a great Major 2 tournament that, we're now going to kind of lose that right going into Major 3, I suppose. A few things that Dashy mentioned in the Q&A that I thought were very interesting indeed. On a flight, it's time for a Q&A. Would you go pro in Valorant if you had the chance? He actually says the following: yeah, but not until I'm done competing in COD. So it's kind of incredible, right? Because Dashy, some of these kids that play Call of Duty, and even just FPS games in general, are just so ridiculously talented at everything they pick up. Like, I know that Hydra is global in, I think you got global so easily in CSGO. I remember when Rated, if you guys know Rated, former COD pro, now kind of Warzone pro, this type of stuff, he picked up CS for pretty much the first ever time, played it for a few days, and just immediately was on the road to global and was straight away Supreme Master First Class. I was like, wow, some of these guys are just absurd. And Dashy got Radiant, I'm pretty sure, in Valorant without too much effort, which which is at top 0.01% pretty much of all players, like right up there with the pros. So that's pretty absurd. Like, he's played with a lot of the top pro players as well on the Valorant side. Just crazy how good some of these guys are at all the different games. But, as he says, he actually might consider going pro in Valorant, but not until he's done competing in COD, which you wouldn't imagine is going to be anytime soon. I saw a crazy stat the other day that, like, I think it's a kind of well-known stat, but Scump did not go negative in an event for 8 years in a row. That's absurd consistency. And people were thinking, okay, what other player could actually possibly match something like that? And maybe Dashy is in that ballpark of players to consider, right? If he's going to compete for several more years, which you wouldn't really doubt, to be perfectly honest, given given the direction and the kind of trajectory that his career has taken, and some of the players now competing a little bit older age. It's kind of interesting stuff. This also, just to mention real quick, is formal the GOAT assault rifle. Probably is, to be honest. If you look at the greatest of all time list, like, you've got Crimp, Scump, Karma. Right after that, Formal's got to be there or thereabouts. Always a tough discussion really between Formal and Clayster, right? Because Clay does have 3 rings in terms of, like, and they did go back and forth back in the day. I'd probably lean on the side of putting Clay slightly above Formal in the all-time list, which maybe gives him the greatest assault rifle of all time, kind of complimented in his favour. But at the same time, in terms of raw ability, it's tough to look past Formal. It's always a difficult discussion. These sorts are just to mention, like, favourite sniper from any COD title, Intervention, Modern Warfare 2, not even close. Wanted to look at this as well, actually, just flexes, because earlier today we did look at the fact that RC's now seemingly might be taking that flex mantle over from Cellium. So, we can put them in S tier, whatever you want to do. Cellium, no doubt, far and away. Thought this was a rather interesting list, actually. To me, I think the D tier is pretty reasonable, right? Kenny's probably got to be one of the worst, if not the worst in the game. Cammy right there and thereabouts, which seems incredible to look at, right? But I think it's probably reasonable. Having Temp as the second best flex in the game, to me, is maybe overrating it to some degree, right? I don't know. Maybe you just look at individual players. I think this is reasonable enough. But, to me, I think there's got to be some degree where you look at team results and kind of, consider those above the individual talents. Because a guy like Illy, for example, I feel like he brings an awful lot to the Optic team. But, like, I guess in terms of raw ability, and I was considering him a B tier. But to me, I think I'd put him A, just because of, the success he's had with the roster, and also how good he was at stage 1. I guess we're talking after stage 2 here, so maybe he drops down the rankings a little bit. But Enable's going Temp, he's going Skies, Attach, and Sib all in the A tier. Then Illy, Gizmo, and Spart in the B tier. Kind of tough to know where to put Spart, to be honest, after this event, after he's only performed at really one major, right? And then C, we've got TJ and Paul X. I think that's probably a reasonable assessment, to be honest, here at the C and D tier. But I probably would mix things up here at A and B. And just to finish out with some Lion Man cards, stage 2 cards, Seattle Surge, they come top 6. They look as follows. I think it was, pretty much Sib and Pre leading the way this time around. Sib in his control has been disgusting. Look at that, kills per 10 minutes, damage per 10 minutes numbers. Pred not too far behind. And Mack, honestly, in the hardpoint has been so good. His Search and Destroy has been lacking. Quite interesting, really, to see that Pred has the best Search and Destroy stats across the team. Even accuracy only with a 0.87. But, put him at 1 versus 2. Game 5, round 11. He's going to deliver the goods more often than not. And this for the Florida Mutineers as well, actually. Both Skies and Awakening both dropping an 87. Quite interesting stage for them, right? Because there's been all this talk the last couple of years or so. Probably understandably so. Can Skies and Big Wake work together on a team in 4 versus 4? Now, it seemed like at times in Cold War, that wasn't really the case. When one of them was going off, the other one was struggling. Seemingly this year, they found a way around that, at least so far, both with exactly the same KD and the control, which is kind of interesting. Very much different, though, in terms of damage per 10 minutes. Maybe this team can continue taking strides, but I wouldn't be surprised if 4th is the best result they get this season. But very much enjoyed your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button, tell us the YouTube gods, this is a good video, I just like you should see it as well, and upgrade the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always, take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.